Sorry for cutting that off. On this side of the board, my countercharge worked. He ended up killing 4 more of my archers, but with wounds and combat res, I was able to break them and run them down in combat. So archers really worked out nicely. The combination archers with knights nearby, with the battle standard bearer nearby, worked out really nicely. Over here, like I said, he didn't wound my battle standard bearer. He killed a bunch of peasants, but we are stubborn and we held. My knights errant beat his handgunners, and we moved to Empire turn 3. And one thing I forgot to mention, this build, every game I change my builds up anyway because I get bored. I have a level 4 sorceress with my great weaponed knights, and I've got a level 2 sorceress with these peasants. And between the two of them, I don't think I got a spell off all game. I may have got 1 spell off. I've never rolled so abysmally. I mean, I couldn't get any power dice. I was rolling snake eyes or 3 or 4. With this warrior priest, he got +1 to spell die for every one of them, and so he often had more to spell dice than I had power dice. I didn't get a spell off. So, because I'm not mentioning spells, that's why. That was a huge waste of points for my level 4. Anyway, if you look at the top right, he turned his great swords around because he wants to go to that well and heal them up a little bit. So that's what he was doing there. The problem was he did a reform and then he tested to do a swift reform and failed his leadership test, and so he wasn't able to move forward. Had he been able to move forward, he would have been able to put D6 more guys back into that unit. One thing he surprised me with, he was able to get those halberdiers around the building and hit my knights. For some reason I didn't think he had room to, but when I looked closer, he definitely did. So he saved himself from getting a flank charge by the knights, which was good for him, bad for me. I didn't think my knights would die though, and they didn't. So, but we held in combat. And over here with the peasants, I'm killing more and more of his rank and file guys. He's got he's got his standard bearer and champion left, his general, and the other guy that my battle standard bearer is in combat with. And again, I'm lucky I'm not killing him, because if I did, he's recognized his mistake, and then he would bring his general over and kill me with it. So Brett turn 3. If you look in the top right, I go ahead and charge the great swords in the flank with the unit that I set up to do so. I tried to dual charge these swordsmen, but my great weaponed questing knights failed their charge. But I got the Pegasus knights in their side. I've got the knights errant in their front. They're going to be stubborn, and there's a battle standard bearer. And for the rest of the game, I was never able to put a wound to kill the standard bearer. So they're rerollable, stubborn. The general's nearby. Those guys aren't going anywhere. I'm going to have to kill them to a man. So that's what I'm doing there. At the very top, I think I had to recharge the handgunners because they rallied on his turn. So there's a closer look at the action going on. So after combat, he has fewer halberdiers, he has fewer swordsmen, I have fewer men-at-arms, and I actually put a wound on his general. I'm actually allocating some attacks at him. And one thing that got lucky for me too was because I killed his enough rank and file, they're finally out of contact with my damsel. He had mentioned allocating attacks to her and then never actually did so, and that was a real concern of mine. I keep on putting her in harm's way. And I think I'm going to stop putting her in units like that get into combat. So Knights Errant killed the handgunners. The Knights Errant killed some great swords. I killed the Warrior Priest, which was nice. Won combat, but he was able to do a reform anyway, and so that's going to make him much more effective against my guys next turn. And this was just funny. This guy I'm fighting only has 2 strength 4 attacks. He hit with them both. Amazingly, he wounded on them both. I have a 2 up rerollable, so I needed 3 up rerollable. I rolled Snake Eyes the first time, double 2s the second time, failed my ward saves, and died. I couldn't believe it. So, Empire turn 4. Really, for the rest of the game, nothing really happens. We just stand here and fight. Everybody's stubborn within 6 inches of that building. So, yeah, those are my guys. You can see I reformed a little bit to get more attacks in with my Knights Errant. We're just swinging at each other everywhere around. He kills another one of these guys. And we go to Brett turn 4. This time, I was kind of glad that my questing knights had failed their charge against the swordsmen, so I was able to bring them to the relief of the Knights of the Realm on the right-hand side. So charge them in, and they're going to be able to do a bunch of wounds there. Otherwise, we're still fighting. these Knights of the Realm who ran down his knights on my far left, they're finally getting closer. So I brought my archers in to give me some combat res because I don't have a reroll anymore, so I need these guys to stick. So I charge in with them. Now the men-at-arms have a ward save because of the magic item the damsel brings, and he made a mistake because he kept on allocating attacks all on the men-at-arms, and I think it's because he didn't like the halberds because I was killing some guys. I think if he had allocated his attacks towards the archers, he may have had a better chance. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. There's only 2 or 3 attacks that would have affected. Anyway, so I'm set up to do some countercharging there if my units can just hold. At this point, my trebuchets aren't even firing. There's nothing to shoot at, and so I'm able to not take any risks there. So these are just closer looks battles. This is definitely Bloodhammer. Lots of battles being fought. Halberdiers are finally dead, so I'm set up for 2 flank charges. He's got no more rank and files, no more standard in his unit of knights. He's got his general, his champion, and his Grand Theogenist. And killed the great swords except one guy left who held in combat with all my guys. That it doesn't matter. My guys aren't going to be able to do much. Just for the fun of it, I would have walked him towards that well and regrew them. And he finally did break me. Despite my archers being in there, he broke me. He decided to pursue the men-at-arms because it was a lot more points, and amazingly was not able to catch him, which was very unfortunate for him because he should have been able to. So on my turn, if you look on the right-hand side, I was finally able to what did we do? I must have destroyed him in combat on my turn, and this turn I just turned, or maybe I destroyed him and I used that to reform. I don't even know if that's legal, but whatever. My Questy Knights have a long distance to his general, but I actually make that charge on my turn, which is just huge. I think I needed to roll an 11, and I did so on my turn, of course. So on this turn, I'm in a challenge with my champion of the Pegasus Knights with that Battle Standard Bearer. I need to get him killed so I can break that unit. I just can't seem to do it. Yeah, there's a closer look at the end of that Great Sword battle. And there are my Questy Knights making that long charge in, hit the general. And I think we played this wrong too. I don't know if we did or not, but I was thinking that was still a unit, but it's not. It's 2 individual characters. So technically, you probably should have been 1 inch apart, but I think it wouldn't have really mattered. Anyway, it would have been slightly more weird, but whatever. But by making that charge, hopefully I can beat him, but if not, I save him from charging my men-at-arms with the damsel and getting all those points on his next turn. And just because of sheer combat res, I wasn't able to do any wounds, but he didn't do any wounds either. Through combat res, broke both of them. They did take 2 different break tests, and ran them both down. So, I mean, the game's been unfolding for him more and more and more, but like I said, this is really just him getting used to the rules. So now we're both just kind of having fun seeing if these guys can make their ultimate stand. He's got 2 swordsmen left with his Battle Standard Bearer on 1 wound against all these guys. Can I break them? Empire turn 6, still can't. Still, I'm not doing any wounds. I'm fluffing everything. Brett turn 6, nothing much changes. We're still in the combat, and at the end of the game, he still has. I went 2 or 3 rounds without killing a single guy here. And so he made the valiant last stand because of the building, because of his Battle Standard Bearer that refused to die. But obviously a massacre, but most people, it seems to me, when they play their first game of 8th edition, it doesn't go well for them. Certainly not always the case, but it was here. There's just a lot of things he did, not understanding how mobile I could be, and maybe some ways he could tailor his list to be more effective, especially with Empire with their war machines being so nasty. Anyway, that was the game. Hope you enjoyed it.